starting with 1 million luck points. Chapter 66, Breaking the Record. Only half an hour had passed since the virtual combat training began. Other than Zhou Hao and Su Ling, the rest of the students from Chu City High School had been wiped out. As expected, none of the 5 Yanjing geniuses had been eliminated. In the training room, everyone was wailing. It's too difficult. That's right. There are too many demon warriors in the wilderness. We can't handle them all. Hi, we should have listened to Instructor Shen. We should have all stayed together. It's too late to regret now. Fortunately, everyone has been eliminated, so our points should all be pretty similar. The students sighed one after another. After they left the virtual cabin, they were shocked to discover that there were still 7 people training in the virtual cabin. It's Yuan Cheng and the others. Although I don't like them, the difference in our strength is indeed huge. It can't be helped. They came from the Yanjing training camp. That brat Zhou Hao is also still inside. Someone quickly noticed that Zhou Hao's virtual cabin was still flashing with green lights. Clearly, the other party was still in the virtual environment. Damn, we've all been eliminated. Why is Zhou Hao still alive? Could he have found a place to hide? The wilderness area is filled with danger. Where can he hide? TCH, there's so much grass. You can just crawl somewhere and do nothing. Most of the students in the focused training class had a deep impression of Zhou Hao. The reason was very simple. Zhou Hao was the weakest in his class and had relied on luck to kill the tusk boar. Therefore, when they saw that Zhou Hao was not eliminated, many students' first reaction was that Zhou Hao had found a place to hide. This was the only way for them to explain why the other party was still alive. After all, they had just experienced the danger of the wilderness area. Zhou Hao isn't hiding. He formed a team with me and Su Ling. Stop being so sarcastic, Zhang Yi said angrily. As soon as he said this, the other students came to a realization. So he's with Su Ling. I was thinking that with Zhou Hao's strength, he would probably be the first to be eliminated. Humph, relying on a woman. How embarrassing. Why would Su Ling help that guy? They're in the same class after all. Many people mocked and ridiculed. They all felt annoyed that Zhou Hao was still alive. Silence. Suddenly, a deep voice sounded in the training room. Only then did the students notice Instructor Shen, the Dean, Principal Zheng, and the others standing on the podium. All of them immediately shut up. Principal Zheng was the first to speak. Your performances are too disappointing. The level of danger in this virtual combat training is very low, and yet you guys didn't even last for half an hour. If you guys had been in the wilderness outside the city, all of you probably wouldn't even survive for 10 minutes. The students lowered their heads in shame. Principal Zheng shook his head and sighed. When the results are out, open your eyes and watch carefully. Time passed slowly. Another hour later, Yuan Cheng and the others were eliminated one after another. As time passed, the danger level gradually increased. Therefore, being able to last for an hour and a half was already very outstanding even for the students from the Yanjing training camp. Not bad, not bad. We actually exceeded an hour and a half. Looks like everyone has improved. Yuan Cheng and the others left the virtual cabin. When they saw the number displayed beside the green light, they couldn't help but laugh. Fang Yu swept his gaze around and saw a dense group of students standing. She immediately sneered, "Yo, you're all out." Lei Jinpeng laughed. "You guys didn't even last half an hour. Is that all you guys are capable of?" Facing Fang Yuan's sneer, many students were silent. However, just as Fang Yu was about to continue mocking them, suddenly, an electronic synthesized voice sounded from 2 virtual cabins. Congratulations to the Chu City High School students, Zhou Hao and Su Ling, for breaking the newbie virtual combat training record. You both lasted 1 hour and 45 minutes. Click. After the electronic voice sounded, the training room was silent. Principal Zheng and the dean looked at each other. Instructor, is there really a record for this? Department Director Hong could not help but ask. Instructor Shen nodded. This batch of virtual cabins is uniformly used on Earth. Previously, the newbie record was maintained by a genius in Yanjing who scored 1 hour and 5 minutes. I didn't expect this record to be broken at Chu City High School. As he spoke, he stared at the electronic screen in disbelief. The footage showing Su Ling and Zhou Hao were dark. Once the time exceeded 1 hour, the system would automatically block the footage so that no one could see what was happening inside. Therefore, Instructor Shen could not figure out how Su Ling and Zhou Hao survived in the wilderness for so long. Could Zhou Hao be that hidden genius? This thought couldn't help but pop up in his mind, and he couldn't help but feel excited. Impossible. A sudden voice exploded in the training room. Chapter 67, Retrieve the actual footage. Swoosh. 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 Principal Zheng, Instructor Shen, and the others were not the only ones who looked over. The other students also looked over and saw Fang Yu's pretty face turn ugly. She gritted her teeth and said, Instructor, Su Ling is only a third-level blood essence student, and Zhou Hao is only at the first level of blood essence. How could they have broken the newbie record and even surpassed us? They must be cheating. Lei Jinpeng also reacted and hurriedly said, Yes, 2 students who aren't even martial artists will find it difficult to deal with demon warriors. And after an hour of virtual combat, high-level demon warriors and even demon generals will appear. Yuan Cheng and Yun Yan also frowned. They were actually somewhat suspicious. After all, this was too ridiculous. It had to be known that although the genius who had maintained the new record in Yanjin was a low-level martial artist, he had broken the record because he had inherited a unique secret technique and his combat strength was comparable to a high-level martial artist. Furthermore, he had teamed up with other people. Yo. So this is what the Yanjing geniuses are like. Tisk tisk tisk, trying to win with your words just because you can't win with your strength. Ha ha ha, to think that you would even accuse them of cheating. The Chu City High School students regained their senses and were extremely excited. Although they did not dare to believe it, they were still proud of Su Ling and Zhou Hao for suppressing the Yanjing geniuses. After all, they were from Chu City High School. Fang Yu's expression turned even uglier. Lei Jinpeng's face also darkened. This was the first time they had been mocked by a group of newbies. At this moment, Instructor Shen stood up and said indifferently, Fang Yu, you should know very well that in virtual combat training, there is no such thing as cheating. Fang Yu's body trembled, but she still gritted his teeth, her face filled with unwillingness. Instructor, I request to see the combat footage of Su Ling and Zhou Hao. Instructor Shen frowned. He did have the authority to look at the footage, but he had to get the approval of the head instructor of the Yanjing training camp. After that, he even had to discuss with the other instructors before he could apply for a look from the system. After all, every student had their own secret techniques and combat techniques. If everyone was allowed to take a look casually, it would reveal many secrets. All right. Instructor Shen finally nodded and stared deeply at Fang Yu. Remember, only this once. At the Yanjing training camp headquarters. In a luxurious living room. Head instructor Cheng frowned tightly. Many instructors quickly learned that a pair of newbies from Chu City High School had broken the long-lasting record for virtual combat training. After all, the broken record announcement was sent to all the virtual cabins. However, like all the other instructors, head instructor Cheng believed that Instructor Shen had deliberately set the difficulty to entry level so that Instructor Shen would be praised for putting the Chu City High School in the limelight. Typically, the virtual cabins would not record the time users spent in the combat training if the difficulty was set to entry level. However, as an instructor, Shen Jing had the authority to change this. As long as he adjusted the code, he could record the time. However, basically no one in the world would do something like this because it would be very embarrassing if they were discovered. Therefore, head instructor Chen was both furious and disappointed at Shenjing for doing something like this. Suddenly, he saw the footage request sent by the Chu City branch. What is this little Shen doing? Chief Instructor Chen wanted to call Shenjing immediately and curse him, but when he took out his phone, he hesitated. Shenjing was taught by him single-handedly and head instructor Chen did not want to humiliate the other party. Forget it, if he wants to watch the footage, I'll let him watch it. When the time comes, if the system detects any abnormal data, I'll just use some authority to help him cover it up. Head instructor Cheng sighed and sent a message to the other instructors. In the virtual training room of Chu City High School, Instructor Shen looked at the electronic screen anxiously. He knew that the head instructor must have found out about the newbie record being broken. This matter was too ridiculous and would definitely cause a commotion. Suddenly, the footage request was approved. Instructor Shen felt a surge of warmth in his heart. The head instructor was using his life to protect him. All right, whoever wants to see this can come over. He took a deep breath and opened Zhou Hao and Su Ling's combat footage again. Swoosh. 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 Principal Zhang, the dean, and the other students rushed over like bees. Yuan Chen, Yun Yan, and the other Yanjing geniuses were also anxious. Everyone wanted to know how Zhou Hao and Su Ling survived in the wilderness. Fang Yu and Lei Jinpeng stared fixedly at the screen. Whoosh. Following a fluctuation, the images gradually became clearer. At this moment, they could see Zhou Hao and Su Ling walking in the dark forest of ancient trees. Everyone's expressions could not but change. Everyone knew how dangerous the ancient forest was. However, as they watched the screen zoom in, they were stunned. Zhou Hao and Su Ling were clearly like a pair of lovebirds taking a casual stroll. They didn't look like they were in danger at all. Not good, it's a demon general. It's a golden snake ape. A student with good eyesight noticed a golden figure hidden amidst the flourishing branches and leaves of the ancient trees, and he immediately exclaimed. Even if they couldn't stand Zhou Hao, many students couldn't help but feel nervous for the two of them. Fang Yu sneered. She wanted to see how these two fellows, who were not even martial artists, would deal with the attack of the golden snake ape. Yuan Chen, Yun Yan, Lei Jinpeng, and the other geniuses stared at the screen without blinking. Instructor Shen, Principal Zheng, and the others also looked at the screen. Everyone held their breaths. When the golden snake ape attacked, even high-level martial artists might not be able to deal with it. With Zhou Hao and Su Ling's strength, it was simply impossible for them to dodge. Don't go near it. Run. Seeing that Zhou Hao and Su Ling were getting closer and closer to the hidden golden snake ape, many students could not help but shout. Instructor Shen narrowed his eyes. Unlike the others, his attention was focused on Zhou Hao. He wanted to see if Zhou Hao was really that hidden peerless genius. Chapter 68, Lucky Bracelet. On the screen, Zhou Hao and Su Ling had already arrived under the ancient tree which hid the golden snake ape. However, it seemed like the two of them were fighting. They saw how Zhou Hao tried to hug Su Ling but was pushed away as Su Ling shouted angrily. Su Ling also happened to push Zhou Hao towards the golden snake ape. At practically the exact same moment, the golden snake ape hidden within the branches and leaves attacked at lightning speed. Pucci. All the students widened their eyes. They saw that the moment the golden snake ape pounced towards Zhou Hao's back, Zhou Hao seemed to be furious and turned around. The saber in his hand was aimed at the golden snake ape, and the tip of the saber was stabbed into the heart of the golden snake ape. What? What the heck? This luck. All the students were completely dumbfounded. It had to be known that the weakest part of the golden snake ape was the center of its heart. As for the other parts, they were all covered in hard flesh. Zhou Hao's saber tip was exceptionally accurate as it landed on the weak spot of the golden snake ape. What a coincidence! At the same time, due to the huge impact, the golden snake ape fell together with the saber and Zhou Hao. Su Ling was shocked and hurriedly went forward to help Zhou Hao. Seeing this, Yuan Cheng and Yun Yan's mouths were opened so wide that an entire egg could pass through them. Principal Zheng, the dean, and the others did not know whether to laugh or to cry. They had not expected Zhou Hao and Su Ling to defeat the demon general level golden snake ape in such a way. Instructor Shen frowned tightly. The way Zhou Hao killed the demon beast made it seem extremely coincidental, as if there were no techniques or tactics involved. However, Instructor Shen kept feeling that something was wrong. Fang Yu and Lei Jinpeng's expressions darkened as they cursed in their hearts, "What a lucky dog." Then, everyone saw Zhou Hao and Su Ling kill the demon generals one after another in various coincidental ways. Of course, most of the time, they were just strolling leisurely. It was as if they could sense the demon general's location in advance. I'm convinced, I'm completely convinced. This Zhou Hao and Su Ling are simply blessed by Lady Luck. Right? I remember that during the combat assessment, Zhou Hao relied on luck to kill the tusk boar. Even in the virtual combat training, he is still killing demon beasts with his luck. It's not just Zhou Hao. Su Ling's luck is also especially good. I've done some calculations. They killed a total of 6 demon generals, and 4 of them were killed by Su Ling. I remember now. Su Ling's father once obtained a bracelet with a lucky effect. At that time, no one believed it and thought that Su Ling's father had been cheated. Now, it seems that the bracelet can really increase luck. While many students were discussing and sighing, they heard someone mention the bracelet and immediately reacted. They all remembered how Su Ling's father used to be made fun of for buying the bracelet, and now it seemed that this bracelet really had a lucky effect. No wonder they could stay in the wilderness for so long. So it's due to the effect of Su Ling's bracelet. Countless students were extremely envious and wished that they were the ones with the bracelet. Instructor Shen was originally very suspicious, but when he heard the students' words, he could not help but come to a realization. Some items could indeed increase luck, but such items were extremely rare. He did not expect Su Ling to have an item like this. Thinking of this, his doubts about Zhou Hao disappeared. Not long after, Zhou Hao and Su Ling seemed to have run out of luck. They encountered an intermediate-level demon general and were killed in a single move. All the students heaved a sigh of relief. They have finally been eliminated. A total of 2 hours and 17 minutes. I'm afraid no one can break this record. Too impressive. I didn't know you could rely on luck to get this far. If only I had such luck. Does anyone know how long the most outstanding genius of the Yanjing training camp lasted? Yuan Cheng, Yun Yan, and the other Yanjing geniuses were silent. Of course, they knew that the most outstanding genius in the Yanjing training camp held the record of 2 hours and 3 minutes. Because once the time exceeded 2 hours, the wilderness area would be filled with intermediate-level demon generals. Only a master-level expert could deal with intermediate-level demon generals. I didn't expect us to lose to 2 students who aren't even martial artists. Yuan Cheng couldn't help but sigh. Lei Jinpeng and Fang Yu's expressions were extremely unsightly. It was just luck. In the real wilderness area against the foreign races, luck will be useless. The 2 of them said coldly. Yun Yan shook her head. Luck is sometimes a part of strength. If the peak expert of our human race had more luck back then, he wouldn't have died in the crack. Fang Yu and Lei Jinpeng couldn't help but sneer and not say anything else. Click. At this moment, Zhou Hao and Su Ling's virtual cabin opened. As soon as the 2 of them walked out, they saw all the students in the class staring at them. What are you guys doing? Su Ling was shocked. The other students laughed and gave them a thumbs up. Good job, Su Ling. Zhou Hao, I'm really impressed. Impressive, impressive. How impressive? a group of students said incoherently. Seeing the scene with their own eyes, they were completely convinced by Zhou Hao and Su Ling's luck. Su Ling was dumbfounded, not understanding what was going on. Zhou Hao naturally knew why they were reacting this way, but he also pretended to be at a loss. Instructor Shen walked over and looked at the two of them with a sigh. The two of you? Not bad, you're both very outstanding. Not only did you two break the record, you guys are also ranked first in points. Keep up the good work. With that said, he could not help but tease, although I am not against students dating, you two still have to pay attention to how you act. Chapter 69, Into the Wilderness. Hearing this, Su Ling's face turned incomparably red. How could she not know that Instructor Shen had seen what they were doing in the wilderness? For a moment, she was so ashamed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. Instructor, it's not what you think. Zhou Hao and I we're just ordinary friends, she explained with a flushed face. Instructor Shen immediately said, I know. With that said, he laughed out loud. Principal Zheng and the dean also laughed. At the Yanjing training camp, Head Instructor Cheng sat in front of the electronic screen and sighed as he waited for the system notification. This little Shen is too persistent. Doesn't he understand that geniuses need to be nurtured slowly, he muttered to himself. He knew very well the reason why Shenjing went to Huadong City. It was undoubtedly because Shenjing felt that after staying in the Yanjing training camp for so long, all kinds of problems had accumulated and could not be resolved. Therefore, he wanted to start afresh and build a new training camp. It was also because of this that Head Instructor Cheng did his best to take care of Shenjing's various needs. But now, it seemed that Shenjing was still too impatient and had the same problem as most geniuses in the training camp. Suddenly, an electronic voice sounded. According to the system's examination, the newbie at Chu City High School has broken the record without any abnormal data. This record is valid. Hearing this, Head Instructor Cheng was stunned. On the first day of the virtual combat training, Su Ling and Zhou Hao had stolen the limelight. However, Zhou Hao did not care, and Su Ling was so embarrassed by Instructor Shen's words that she did not dare to face anyone. As soon as school ended, she ignored Zhou Hao and left the school. Moreover, for several days straight, Su Ling did not say a word to Zhou Hao, as if she did not know him. At the southern defense line of the city, in the wilderness area, a large number of general-level demon beasts and insect beasts fled for their lives like boiling ants in a hot pot. The red-armored Zhou Hao shook his head helplessly. Zhou Hao habitually glanced at the virtual screen. Luck points, 837,100, current level, overwhelming luck. For the past few days, he would go to the wilderness area to kill all kinds of demon generals and insect beasts after school every day, but his luck points accumulation speed had always been very slow. The main reason was that he was too strong and he was killing too many demon beasts too quickly, causing a large number of high-level demon generals and intermediate-level demon generals to flee crazily from the wilderness, leaving only a pile of low-level demon generals behind. I still need more than 100,000 to accumulate 1 million luck points. Zhou Hao opened the shop section and looked at the silver mystery box page. He was hesitant about opening the mystery box. After all, judging from the situation, it would probably take a while for him to accumulate 1 million luck points. After hesitating for a while, he finally gave up on consuming his luck points to open the silver mystery box. If he wanted to get something better, he had to be patient. I should still level up first. Thinking of this, Zhou Hao clicked on his personal page and looked at it. Level, 11,730/10 million, silver. He immediately charged 50 million yuan. The balance in his account immediately became 510,000 Heaven Dao coins. Although it seemed like there was a lot of Heaven Dao coins, the amount was actually not even enough for him to purchase 100 silver mystery boxes. In just a short while, Zhou Hao had opened 10 consecutive silver mystery boxes. As expected, almost all of them contained roses or Heaven Dao coins. However, the minimum number of roses in the silver mystery box was 50 roses. This software is indeed very scammy. He sighed helplessly. If not for the luck points, he would definitely be scammed like the other users. He didn't get anything good even after repeated attempts. Zhou Hao simply stopped. Although he wanted to increase his level, he couldn't waste money like this. After all, he had worked hard to get this money. He turned around and jumped down from a tree. Looking at the distant wilderness, he couldn't help but shake his head, thinking to himself that he would have to go deeper into the wilderness in the next few days. At the military headquarters at the east station of the Huadong city. What? Senior Zhou, you want to go deep into the wilderness? Commander Zhao immediately turned anxious when he heard Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao was stunned for a moment. Commander Zhao, is there something wrong? Commander Zhao hurriedly said, Senior Zhou, the depths of the wilderness area are incomparably terrifying. There are a large number of overlord-level demon beasts and insect beasts there, as well as experts from the machine race. It's too dangerous for you to wander alone. Commander Zhao, I know what to do. As long as you can provide me with a clear map, I'll bypass those dangerous areas. Zhou Hao frowned. Senior Zhou, if we had a clear map, I would have provided it to you long ago. However, it is precisely because the depths of the wilderness area are too dangerous and there are year-round energy barriers that our detectors are unable to make any detections. Therefore, under normal circumstances, the deeper areas are prohibited, Commander Zhao explained. With that said, he paused and continued, of course, it's not impossible for Senior Zhou to go deeper. You can transfer to Huanan City. It's said that some dangerous areas have been detected there. Zhou Hao shook his head when he heard that. Huanan City is too far away. In that case, forget it. Commander Zhao immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He did not want Zhou Hao to go to Huanan City. After all, the benefits of having such an expert stay in the Huadong city was obvious. Ignoring everything else, just Zhou Hao's mass killing of foreign beasts in the wilderness this time had relieved the pressure on many martial artist teams. By the way, Commander Zhao, why haven't I seen any other grandmasters recently? Zhou Hao asked. Chapter 70, Dark Gods. Although the cleanup operation had already ended, the grandmasters in the city would still often gather at the headquarters of the East Station. Firstly, they wanted to discuss secret techniques and battle tactics with each other, and secondly, it was easier for them to work together if anything happened. However, in the past few days, Zhou Hao rarely saw grandmasters like He Biao and Zhen Hong. Commander Zhao's expression turned solemn. Lord Zhou, He Biao and the others are currently searching for the Dark Gods organization hidden in the city. Dark Gods? Zhou Hao was stunned. This was the first time he had heard of such an organization. That's right. The Dark Gods is a huge underground secret organization that is active in all the cities. In order to increase their strength, they betrayed the human race and colluded with the foreign races. Furthermore, they often hold all kinds of evil gatherings and inhumane sacrifices. Commander Zhao continued, his voice carrying suppressed anger. The various bases around the world hate the Dark Gods deeply, but they're too secretive and difficult to discover since they have the help of the foreign races. At this point, Commander Zhao clenched his fists tightly. In the past, there were a large number of demon kings in the wilderness area of the city. Once we start to look for these Dark Gods members, the city will be attacked by the foreign races. Therefore, we have never dared to act rashly. However, this time, thanks to Senior Zhou's wanton cleansing of the foreign races in the wilderness, the pressure on the city was suddenly relieved. Therefore, He Biao, Zhen Hong, and the others were able to change targets this time and deal with these hidden Dark Gods members. Upon hearing this, Zhou Hao understood. It turned out that such an evil and anti-human organization existed in the city. "Commander Zhao, how's the strength of the Dark Society?" he asked. "They're very strong." Commander Zhao's expression was solemn. "They constantly obtain the treasures and techniques of the foreign races, so their strength increases extremely quickly. However, there are pros and cons to everything. Their increase in strength too quickly has resulted in their foundation being unstable and their combat strength being relatively ordinary. Most of them rely on the powerful treasures bestowed by the foreign races to be able to fight with us Grandmasters and even the supernatural Grandmaster Zhou Xian. Therefore, the Dark Gods have always been in hiding and don't dare to expose themselves to compete with the forces of the other bases." After a pause, Commander Zhao sighed and said, "But even so, high-level masters would be in danger if we sent them to look for traces. That's why I got He Biao and the other Grandmasters to perform such a mission." Zhou Hao frowned. If they couldn't even send high-level masters, it meant that the Dark Gods organization's strength was indeed extraordinary. To have such an evil organization in the city was indeed like having an unstable bomb. After thinking for a moment, he couldn't help but say, "Commander Zhao, if there's any news about the Dark Gods, please inform me in time." Commander Zhao could not help but say happily, "Thank you, Senior Zhou. With your help, the Dark Gods will no longer be a threat. If there's any news, I'll inform you through the wireless channel." "All right." Zhou Hao nodded. He was still willing to help the city. After all, Huadong City was where he grew up. By protecting the city, he could also protect his family. At Chu City High School. In the virtual combat training, Zhou Hao's performance in the past few days had been very ordinary. Fortunately, he had teamed up with Su Ling and Zhang Yi and was not ranked at the bottom. Pu. After Su Ling and Zhang Yi killed the demon warriors, they heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the ground to rest. Seeing Zhou Hao's absent-minded appearance, Su Ling, who had not spoken to him for several days, could not help but frown. "Zhou Hao, you're also a member of the team. Can't you be more serious?" Zhou Hao exclaimed and hurriedly said, "Sorry, I got distracted." After learning from Commander Zhao that there was still a Dark Gods organization in the city, he specially asked for detailed information about them. In fact, he had been quite shocked. Some of the Dark Gods' actions were simply crazy. To say that they were against humans was already considered an understatement. Moreover, it might even be the Dark Gods who had leaked the news of this genius to the foreign races last time. This made him even more vigilant. With the Dark Gods members lurking around, he absolutely could not expose his identity. Once he was exposed, the consequences would be unimaginable. He himself was powerful to begin with and did not have anything to be afraid of. However, the people around him, especially his parents, might very well suffer the wrath of the Dark Gods. After all, his parents still had to go to work and he couldn't be by their side all the time. "Come on, this is the wilderness area." Su Ling glared at Zhou Hao unhappily. "If you want to keep acting like this, you should leave the team." Zhang Yi hurriedly said, "Su Ling, don't say that. Zhou Hao also helped a lot." Su Ling snorted and did not say anything else. She also knew that she had crossed the line just now. Zhou Hao didn't care much since he knew that Su Ling had a sharp tongue. Moreover, he had indeed been distracted. "I'll pay more attention from now on." Su Ling stood up. "I'll keep an eye on you." After that, Zhou Hao naturally did not continue to daydream. Moreover, he more or less displayed some of his combat talent, making Su Ling extremely surprised. After school, Zhang Yi stopped Zhou Hao.